Hello everyone, welcome back to episode number 3 of Get Fit with Kuldeep, your go-to podcast for everything around nutrition, fitness and performance. And the topic that we are going to talk about is really important in your fitness journey, and that is protein. So if you're working out heavy in the gym, you're running marathons, you're playing any sports, or you just want to do your day-to-day activities in a better way, then protein is a macronutrient which is really important, and we'll see in the following sections how much protein do you need, why it is important, how to get it from your daily food, what are the really good sources, maybe what are the important supplements if you are not meeting your protein needs, and also how to identify exactly how much amount of protein that you're going to need throughout the day. So let's jump right in and see what protein is all about. All right, so let's start with the basics. Why protein is important. So as you have heard in the previous episodes, that there are 3 macronutrients that we require for our daily functioning, right? It's carbs, fats and protein. And what protein does is it plays important role in your muscle building. When we are working out in the gym, what we are actually doing is we are lifting the weights, we are doing pull-ups, and we are actually causing micro tears in our muscle fibers, and then actual muscle gain happens after you have worked out and you give your body a sufficient protein that it requires to heal those muscles and build them back stronger. So protein plays really important role in building the muscles. Also, it plays a really important role in hormones and enzymes production. A lot of our hormones are protein based, right? And also it plays important role in our immune function, as well as helps in our healthy skin, nails, hair, you name it. So protein is really a basic building block of our body, and it is something that we definitely need every day. And protein is not only important for someone who want to build muscles, but if you want to also lose fat, right? What we want to do, as we saw in our episode 1, is we don't want to lose all the muscles that we have built, right? Muscles are something that gives us structure and also helps us improve our metabolism, right? So even with the fat loss, or when you want to reduce or cut your body weight, what you want to do is you still want to maintain optimum level of protein, so that helps into retaining your lean muscle mass that you have built through your exercise. And also protein is something that digests slower, so when you eat protein, it takes longer time for typical protein source, maybe it meat or eggs or paneer for vegetarians, right? It takes our body longer time to break down protein, and how that helps us is it makes us feel fuller for longer time, right? So you're not eating or munching on those snacks or drinking sodas because you just feel hungry. So it definitely also helps you in your reducing your body fat by keeping you in line with your calorie goal. All right, so let's talk about how much protein you really need. Right, so it's going to depend on activity levels that you do throughout the day, right? If you are just sedentary and doing office work, or if you are an athlete or sports person, or you're moving around a lot during a day and you are working out as well. So your protein requirement does change by what you do day to day, and also most importantly what your goal is, right? If you want to build muscles, lean down, there is subtle variation in the protein that you need to do in order to achieve those goals, right? So overall, rule of thumb is if you are sedentary adult, working 8-9 hours, 10 hours in the chair on the computer, right? Your protein requirement is around 0.8 gram to 1 gram per kilogram of your body weight, right? And then for your fat loss or muscle gain, or you're playing sports, your protein requirement does vary from anywhere between 1.2 grams on a lower side to around 2.2 grams per kg of body weight on a higher side. Though I would say anything around 1.5, 1.6 is ideal. 2.2 grams per kg of body weight is mostly for athletes, professional bodybuilders, someone who really needs that much amount of protein. Because after a certain point, once you achieve your optimum protein intake level, then even if you're eating a lot more than that, it's not going to help you just build muscles, because only you're eating it. Like, body needs to utilize that as well, right? Or else it's just gonna go through your body and go to the waste, right? So let's take an example. If you are an active individual weighing 70 kg body weight, you're going to the gym, not doing really intense workouts, but doing moderate workouts, want to stay lean, right? Then your protein requirement might range from 1.4 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So that translates to around 105 grams of protein that you need to eat every day in order to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. So it all depends on what your goal is, what your target is, what you want to achieve. So I would highly recommend talk with expert. You can reach out to me, speak with any nutritionist nearby, and figure out what your daily requirement of protein is, and then figure out how we want to achieve that. All right, so now let's see what an average Indian eats during the day, right? So for breakfast, our typical breakfast, if you are from Central India or North India or South India, the dishes vary, but predominantly the breakfast that we eat is carb rich, right? In fact, all of our meals are carb heavy because the way our economy was, how we grew up in 60s and 70s, where we have all these grains that are growing in India, plenty and cheaper, right? So, typical Indian diet includes very less protein. So for an example, in the breakfast, what do we eat? Like poha, upma. If you're South Indian, we eat idli, right? If we are in North India, we eat paratha, which is mostly carbs, right? Sometimes we eat eggs and omelets, but not every day, right? So the breakfast is mostly carb rich. Then in lunch also we have our roti or chapati, with sabzi. So again, sabzi is, that is also a carb source, right? Unless you are having sprouts or chicken or egg. But then again, we are not eating that every day. That's not how our Indian diet is built, right? In the evening snacks, again, we go to, maybe poha, upma. If you are in Maharashtra like me, then, maybe vada pav or pani puri in the evening, right? But most often than not, we have a tea and biscuits, right? So again, there is no protein source involved unless you're counting, little bit amount of milk that you add in your tea. And then again, in dinner, when we go, we probably have dal, rice, and some sabzi. So then we are getting some protein from dal, right? So that's a typical daily diet for most of the Indians, right? And then if we eat non-veg, we typically eat it on maybe Wednesdays or weekends, and that's it, right? We don't eat it every day. So if we see throughout the day, mostly we have been eating carbs, and don't get me wrong, there is some amount of protein in those carb sources as well, but the reason why we call it carb sources is they are predominantly carbs, right? Protein is not the primary macronutrient that we get from them. And of course, you get some protein from your dal, or maybe some milk, or that you have in your tea or coffee, or curd, maybe you have it with paratha in the morning, but then that's it. And if you add all of these up, it might go up to maybe 20-30 grams of protein per day. So it is nowhere near what you actually require throughout the day, right? So with that in mind, now let's see what are the good sources of proteins are for vegetarians and non-vegetarians, and also how we could incorporate them in our daily diet in order to increase our protein intake. All right, now let's talk about protein sources that we can typically find in India. So there are animal-based sources, and then there are plant-based sources. Animal-based sources are often called complete proteins because they have all 9 essential amino acids that we require for day-to-day functioning. And different animal-based sources are your chicken, mutton, fish, eggs, And then dairy. Dairy is also important because that is something that a lot of our vegetarian friends can have, right? So in that we have our milk, curd, cheese, and also whey protein, which is derived from dairy products. And we'll cover more on the whey proteins in our episode about supplements and vitamins. But then whey protein is really important animal-based protein source as well. And now let's take a look at plant-based sources, which are lentils, chickpeas, rajmas, and soybeans that we get. Then again, there are some soy derivatives which are kind of tofu or tempeh, which are not very common in India. Soya chunks are also derived from soybeans once the soy oil is taken out of the beans, and soy chunks is also really great source of protein, especially for vegetarians. Then our nuts and seeds, they also have good amount of proteins. Issue with them is they have a higher amount of fats as well, but then again it is good fats, but then you have to balance out how much you want to eat just to get your protein. And again, as we mentioned, some of our carb sources like wheat and rice, it also has some amount of protein in it. And nowadays, there are a lot of vegan or plant-based protein powders which are in the market that you can also have if you really want to stick to plant-based proteins. So one thing with this plant-based proteins is many a times they are not complete protein, right? They don't have all 9 essential amino acids which are needed, but then if you combine different plant-based sources, like rice and beans, then you get all those 9 essential amino acids in that single dish, right? So that is something to keep in mind as well when you are getting your protein from plant-based sources. All right, so now let's take a look at how we can hit our protein goals, right? So now we are equipped with the information that what protein is, right? How much you need every day, what are the good sources. We have also identified that most of our Indian diet, maybe you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Most of our daily diet is protein deficient. So what we want to figure out now is how we can get that required protein in our everyday meals. So most of us eat 4 meals a day. We have our breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner. And then if you want to hit 100-120 grams of protein per day, then what you want to do is ideally split that across all 4 meals, right? So maybe 20 to 30 grams in breakfast and snacks, and then 30 to 40 grams in lunch and dinner, depending upon how much protein you need, right? So if you want to take a look at breakfast, we mostly eat carbs, but then what you could do is you add boiled eggs, right? If you can eat eggs, or you can add a bowl of Greek yogurt or even plain yogurt, right? Whatever makes sense, or maybe a glass of milk, right? Milk is 100-gram milk gives you like 4 grams protein. Same with curd as well, 100-gram curd or dahi will give you 4-gram protein as well. So you can add that in your breakfast. Then another way is to add whey protein in your post-workout sessions, or maybe as a snack or as a breakfast as well. That one scoop gives you 24-25 grams of protein instantly, and it is broken down protein, right? So it gets absorbed in the body much faster than some of the other protein sources. So that is something that you could add as well. Also for your evening snacks, you can add a protein rich food in there, like roasted chanas or roasted soybeans that you can add, or maybe cottage cheese, or just we get our Amul cheese cubes, right? 1 cube again has around 4 to 5 grams of protein, so you can add maybe a couple of those as well, right? And then for dinner we have our dal, rice. It all plays around the quantities, right? So typically what we do is we have a lot of rice and then a little bit amount of dal, so you want to switch the portion sizes around in order to make sure that you are getting more protein out of it. Really easy trick is to add, if you can and if you like, dahi or curd, right? You can always add 100-200 grams in the meals that you are eating, and it gives you 4 to 8 grams of protein instantly. And also one other tip is you can meal prep, right? So that you have something ready and you're not pulling snacks out of your snacks cupboard, and maybe you have your rice and beans meal prepped, and there are a couple of portions in your fridge sitting around wherever you feel hungry you can heat them up and eat it. So meal prepping is also one of the great idea to make sure you have enough protein in your diet and you have it ready to go as well. All right, so here is the big takeaway. So protein is not only for bodybuilders or athletes. It is really needed for everyone. And as you age, you start to lose muscles, like we discussed in our previous video. So your protein requirement becomes more and more important as you are aging as well. So it's a myth that older people need less protein because they can't digest. In fact, they need higher amount of protein in order to retain the muscle mass that they have. So make sure you are getting enough protein throughout the day. Choosing variety of sources so you don't get bored by just eating boiled chicken every day. Not every one of us want to go on stage and do the bodybuilding, right, and have a like 5-6% body fat, right? So keep it interesting so that you don't get bored and you stick to your diet, stick to your protein requirement. And with enough protein and your workouts, that combination, you will definitely see desired results in your body. So that's it for today. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe, like, or share with your workout buddy or anyone you think that this video will help in their fitness journey. And stay strong. Until next time, we'll meet again. Till then, goodbye.